The word epic gets used so casually in film promotion that it has been drained of almost all meaning. A superhero sequel is epic, a streaming miniseries is epic. But Christopher Nolan knows what epic actually means. I saw the Odyssey at my local IMAX 70mm premiere on Thursday, and I have not stopped thinking about it since. The Odyssey is the most purely ambitious film Christopher Nolan has made in a career defined by ambition. A 3 hour adaptation of one of the oldest adventure stories in all of literature that arrives not as a museum piece or a classical exercise, but as something genuinely alive, formally daring, and emotionally devastating. It is brutal and beautiful and more than a little unhinged, and it earns every one of its 3 hours by understanding that Homer's poem is not just a single thing, but a container for several kinds of stories simultaneously. War film, family drama, monster movie, body horror, maritime catastrophe, psychological investigation, and something approaching a meditation on what it means to be a man who has done terrible things in the name of returning home. This is not merely one of Christopher Nolan's best films, it is the best film of 2026 so far, and one of the finest adaptations of classical literature ever committed to the screen. The film's structure is characteristically Nolan, nonlinear, interlocking, and trusting the audience to assemble the chronology from the fragments provided. We enter the story 8 years after the fall of Troy, Odysseus' reputation already the stuff of legend on his native Ithaca. His wife Penelope, played by Anne Hathaway with an impassioned intelligence, has spent years fending off the suitors who eye her throne, among them Robert Pattinson's Antinous, who has a particular kind of oily confidence that makes you want to see him destroyed specifically and in detail. And Penelope's son Telemachus, Tom Holland in a performance that strikes an emotional chord, has grown up in the shadow of a father he has never known, going in search of him with the specific desperation of a young man who has inherited a legend he does not know how to live up to. Meanwhile, Odysseus himself is stranded on an island with the sea nymph Calypso, slowly and painfully reconstructing the memory of his journey. Matt Damon's performance as Odysseus is the film's absolute center, and it is the work of a great actor at full command of his instruments. Damon has always been at his best playing intelligence under pressure, and Odysseus gives him a version of that quality pushed to an extreme he has never previously attempted. The film is honest about its hero in ways that sanitized classical adaptations typically are not. That Matt Damon makes this man sympathetic, that you want him to succeed, to get home, to be worthy of the family waiting for him, is the exact sort of achievement that acting awards were invented to recognize. What Christopher Nolan understands about the Odyssey is that it is not primarily a story about adventure. The Cyclops and the Sirens and Scylla and Charybdis are not the point, they are the cost. The specific escalating price Odysseus pays for each poor decision and each moment of pride. The film is about the casualties of war not only on the battlefield, but in the years afterward, when the warrior returns home changed in ways his family cannot understand and he cannot fully explain. It is about the stories soldiers tell themselves about why they did what they did, and the harder, quieter truths that live underneath those stories. And the climax, which those familiar with the story will anticipate, is as rousing as anything Christopher Nolan has ever put on screen. And also, in the film's most striking accomplishment, morally complicated in ways that refuse to let the triumph feel purely triumphant. Watching this film in its very first IMAX 70mm screening on Thursday, with a frame that filled my entire field of vision and sound that you can feel in your chest, was one of the great movie-going experiences I've had in years. There are only 41 theaters in the world capable of presenting this format, and if you are near any one of them, go. Because The Odyssey is the kind of film that reminds you why movie theaters exist, why we sit in the dark together and watch someone's story, why the oldest stories, told by the right people in the right way, still have power. The Odyssey is the work of a filmmaker at the peak of his powers, making the film he has clearly been building toward his entire career. A story about the oldest human need, which is the need to come home, and the oldest human discovery, which is that home is never quite what you left behind, and you are never quite who you were when you left it. 3,000 years after Homer first told this story, Christopher Nolan has told it again, and made it feel somehow like the first time. The Odyssey is in theaters now, including an IMAX 70mm at select locations. So find your nearest screening, buy the ticket, and go as soon as you can. And let me know in the comments, have you seen The Odyssey yet? And where does it rank among your favorite Christopher Nolan films? And of course, don't forget to subscribe to Fandom Frontline for more deep dives into the stories that shape our fandom.